Hello guys, so this is the second re-upload of this video. Just having a bit of trouble with the sound, getting it out. So here we go. So today I'm just going to run through what I think these so-called Roman dodecahedra are. Obviously this one's not a dodecahedron, that's an icosahedron. So the mainstream novel narrative on these guys is that they've been found mostly in Northern Europe, and there's a bit of mystery surrounding these objects as to what they are, what their purpose is, and where they've come from. So I'm just going through a few different images of them here. Here's a map of where the reported discoveries of them have been. So coming from Wales down through here, over into the continent, across here and down into Hungary, they've been reported. Now, the icosahedron was found in Arlof in Germany. So that being the main difference between it and the regular dodecahedrons. So there's a quick bolstering from Wikipedia here saying a Roman dodecahedron is a small hollow object made of bronze or stone with a dodecahedral shape. 12 flat pentagonal faces, each having a circular hole in the middle which connects to the hollowed out centre. Roman dodecahedra date from the 2nd or 3rd centuries. About 100 have been found from Wales, The function of these dodecahedra is unknown. A mention of them has been found in contemporary accounts, pictures of the time. Speculated uses. Now here we go. This is going to be interesting. Speculated uses include 1. Candlestick holders, 2. Dice, 3. Survey instruments, I should say. Devices for determining the optimal sowing date for winter grains, so some form of a calendar, and that they were used to calibrate water pipes and army standard bases. So make of that what you will. And here comes the kicker. Their usual narrative: they may have been religious artifacts of some kind, tombs or temples. That's their story for everything. And they create mystery where there is none by denying the public knowledge of a great number of things, mainly to do with the world we're living in, what it is, where we are, etc. So this seems to be the leading theory in terms of what these things are. And I'll let you have a quick look at the video. So I'll just speed it up here. We'll get to explaining why the holes in the faces are different sizes in just a moment. None of them were completely convincing, and nor is this one, I'm afraid. I think my theory goes a little further in terms of the convincingness rating. I question this man's theory just based alone on the fact that he's knitting. So let's go on skip ahead. So you get the gist, and the outcome of it is a pretty shoddily made children's glove. Now, I'm calling this a children's glove. Now that's because these things are only come in certain sizes. I don't believe they're ever going to get to a size that's big enough to knit a human's glove, an adult's glove. Now there's a reason for that, and it's probably not because they haven't found the ones that they would say, oh well, we just haven't discovered one that's an adult size yet because they were better looked after, or some other bollocky story to fill up the rest of their bollocky line pad out. So people who don't think critically will believe it. Here we are. So you can see clearly on this dodecahedron at the front, you've got these segments. So the rings are in segments. That's what's causing the holes to be in different size. These are like, what's a good analogy? When you have a can of Coke or a can of tuna and you pull that ring pull, now those cans have been manufactured purposely with weakened areas where the tabs push in order to get the contents out. And it's no different with these, except rather than having somebody pull the pull tab through, they work on a similar system to how pheromones work. So there'll be a chemical signaler that lets the pollen know it's time to open the gates, and they go from there. So my theory with these two is that they're pollen. This is petrified pollen. And this one, that's an AIDS virus, a human AIDS virus, HIV. I shouldn't say AIDS. AIDS, everyone has AIDS. AIDS is acquired human immunodeficiency virus. Now, basically what AIDS is, it's the same as, it's starvation. So basically you haven't eaten enough, so your immune system's weakened. So don't let them scare you with this whole AIDS business. Everyone gets AIDS if you don't eat enough. AIDS is just acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. So you've acquired it by not eating enough, and now your immune system is deficient. HIV is the real one to worry about, and this is an exact copy of a HIV virus. Now, how big are these things? So these guys are from 4 to 11 centimeters. So I'm not quite sure what the exact dimensions of the ones are, but for the purpose of this demonstration, 4 to 11 centimeters is going to suit just perfectly. So here you can see very defined these zipper edges. You can see pretty well that it's made of stone, this one. So I put it to you, who's covering these things out of stone? Where are they getting the tooling? And where did they get the concept? So you've got these zip edges, these tabbed rings here. So it'll become clear in just a moment when we're looking at the the HIV virus, sorry. And you can see at the top here, this hole on that face is pushed all the way out, so it's lost all of the segments and it's at the maximum diameter possible. Here's the AIDS virus. You can see through the back there, the zippered ridge on that one. It's not so clear on these. I'd suggest that's because of the way the scanning electron microscope works. You've got your 3 nodules, 1 on each point, and I'd say this is it's a relatively young HIV. It's a young version of the virus. These nodules haven't fully inflated yet, so they would all be like this once they matured. Here's another version. There's a couple of different types of HIV that I'm aware of, at least 1 and 2. There may be more, and I'm going to suggest that there is more because we're going to have a look at one that's configured differently again after this. So once again, you can see the same basic structure. You've got your nodules, you've got your bumps on the corner. Once again, it'll be the same thing. As the thing matures, these bulbs inflate. Okay, here's a good example of the dye and that they're talking about, like a Dungeons and Dragons type dye. Here's another version of the virus. Now this one doesn't have the knobs on the corner, and I'm going to suggest that if they were dyed, that's how it's come about. It's this version of the virus. You can see these nodules aren't seemingly possessing the same structural integrity of the knobs. Now, how big are these things? So we're looking at these, and they're sort of 4 to 11 centimeters. So we're around here. Now, HIV virus is 120 to 150 nanometers down here. Now, if we're going to convert this to say, okay, how big is the creature that these things have come from? Well, basically all we do is flip this over. So we're going from here, we're going from here, centimeters, and if we convert it into the size of human, say, what's that, 6 foot man? Say 180 something, 190 centimeters, say. So you're here, we've got to get up into the gigameters to describe the creature that would be supporting a virus of that size. That's phenomenal. So I don't know if that's completely proved science, but animals don't get AIDS, trees don't get HIV, animals don't get HIV, humans do. Or monkeys, which would be even just as good to see a giant of that size. So what does this mean? I'm not quite sure what it means, but I'll tell you what it doesn't mean. It doesn't mean that these are carved bloody stone balls. It doesn't mean that the earth is round. It doesn't mean that giants are some mythical bloody creature. Of course they're real. All you got to do is have a look at the work others are doing. You've got UAP, Flat Earth British Sub. As far as the science behind it, Scientifically, it's a great channel to watch. Maxwell Egan, The Crow House, it's another great channel to watch. I'm basing this largely on the work that's been done by Mudfossil University, Roger. He's what helped me make the link between the stone condition of these things and the virus and pollen that came before it. So that's that one pretty well sorted out. So this is this and this and this. Probably this one. I think this is the first type. So it's. I mean, you just got to look at it. We'll go through the anatomy of the pollen in a moment to show how this is formed, and the pollen is not different greatly from the virus. So the different parts of it are made of different chemical compositions, and when they're in the ground after the creature's died or it's lost some blood and the virus is poured onto the ground, however, whichever vector's got it onto the ground to be buried in a substrate, then depending on what the mix is in the solvent solution, the substrate that it's buried in, is going to give you the chemical composition that the remineralization is going to take. So that's going to determine what the end product is made from. The shape will remain the same because it's not recolonizing, it's remineralizing the initial object, the same way petrified wood forms. So your trees consumed by flood, whatever you want to say it's consumed by, it's under the ground now. It's in a substrate, and over time, the lignin and the cellulose are replaced by quartz, silicon, whatever is available in the environment that's got a greater affinity for the cell after the cellulose and the lignin expire. Now, the pollen, what are they calling these things? Well, they want to say that they're carved stone balls. Carved stone balls? Oh, quickly, I should go back. So they found some of these things in Asia, the dodecahedrons, and they're saying, oh, they're made of gold. Not saying, they're claiming that they found ones that are made of gold. Now, how's that happen? Well, I think that's pretty well demonstrated in this image here. So the things come into the ground, it's been remineralized, and then something's changed in the substrate, and gold's come into the environment, and it's basically done the next stage in the thing. It's grown over, crystallized over the newly fossilized petrified cell. So these carved stone balls, they're claiming, I'm saying that these pollen, and this is why. Many are said to be made of greenstone, but this is a general term for all varieties of dark greenish igneous rocks, including dorites, blah 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 blah. So, moving on. This is the anatomy of pollen. I've lost my image I wanted to look at. Where's that gone to? Oh. Okay, well here it is anyway. So you can see here your three chemicals at the compositions of the pollen. So you've got the fatty substance on the outside, that's like the skin. This is like your skeleton, and in here is the main bulk of the cell. It's carrying the DNA that's going to make up the seed, the sperm that's been transported to the female plant. Here's a story that they're spinning. They were models of platonic solids from 2000 BC, the Neolithic era, I believe that was. A lot of old shite as far as I'm concerned. Here's some images. Now we're going to maybe be looking at initially these type here, the many balls. Oh. So you can see there, the triangular points, you've got your well cut out centers, many points, and here we've got a trilobular one. You can have a pretty good look there, and you can see this thing has been allegedly carved. I'll explain why that's not been carved in just a moment. Now here's a pollen under the electron microscope. There's your pollen, there's your carved stone balls. We'll get this one in just a second. I think it's a ragweed pollen. Now you can see this is the pollen. This is a carved stone ball. The only difference is this is made of stone and it's lost very pointy bits. Now it's not too hard to imagine how those points could have been lost while this thing's in the ground, or even after it come out of the ground and somebody's found it. The material has got not very good tensile strength, and so it's going to lose those points if there's any mechanical force applied to them. Ragweed pollen, carved stone ball. Ragweed pollen, carved stone ball. Now here's your dodecahedron. Here's your outer layer. It's like a skin. Underneath that will be the middle layer, the skeleton, that's got those segmented ring sections that pop out on the chemical signal when it arrives at the female to release this. This is the DNA rich. This is the sperm in here. Here's your knobs on the corner. That's to support the fatty material, the fatty skin that goes over the outside. Give it some attachment points. So these are basically attachment points of the skin. Here we go, this is what I was looking for there. So here, now you can see, here's your attachment points, balls. Here's a better example of what I'm talking about. You can see here the skin spread over, and you can see underneath where the attachment points are, it's more raised because this one's not quite mature yet. It's got some more hydration at least that's required, and it will fill out and end up underneath like this, outside like this. There's your seed inside, skin over the outside, skeleton underneath. Stone ball, this is not a stone one, this is metallicized. I don't know if this is a recreation or not. Pollen. So, I think that's Now here you can see this is another grouping of the pollen. I'm not sure if it's normal to have so many deformed ones as it is in a human sperm sample, or this could be caused by an environmental pathogen or toxin, likely courtesy of Big Brother's best friend, Monsanto. Now here, this is going to explain why we're finding these tri- and quadlobular stones like this. Now they're claiming that this has been carved in this pattern. That's not correct in my opinion. These are the attachment points and the swirled growth pattern of a pollen that had more of these points. So you can see here, this one would have had 4 knobs on it, like this. 4 knobs, and a similar layout to this here. It may have had spirals going around it, and that explains why the patterning would be different. So this one's got a big knob there, knob, 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 big knob, big knob, big knob. Maybe a flower, another big knob. These ridges are like this, the anchor points of the fleshy structure that's growing on the outside, the fatty skin. Here's one that's been quite a bit more eroded. You can sort of see the layer break down a little bit here. So this one's losing this layer here, and you can see there it's the same amount of material that's come off because that layer is made of the same chemical composition. It's all attached the same way. That's why it's not breaking it in chunks. Same underneath. Now here's a good image that shows how these things they're claiming they're made of gold. They're not. They've been petrified under the ground and been colonized with gold. Well, colonized is not the right word, but that sort of gives you the idea of how it's happened. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. Hopefully the sound comes out a little bit better this time. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What do you think these things are? Let me know in the comments, and stay tuned. I've got a few more of these mini mysteries coming out soon, and yeah, hope you enjoy. Have a good day. Thank you.